if we want, I can get ready. I don't mind an intimate group at all, and whoever can kind of like join in as we get going.
You're
That'll
also
be great.
live on Facebook, so be aware.
Oh, so we're perfect. We're ready to go.
Amplified into the world. Kat, do you want to say anything before we start formally?
Yes. We are just going to very quickly explain what this is, and then I'm going to hit it back to Becca to introduce you, Montyy, and then we'll get started. So we're about a minute or two away from the beginning of our program formally. So this is technically part of something called Summer of Pod. And where Summer of Pod came from was that when we launched from the margins to the center, we had like 100 applicants. As Montyy was saying, there were many more people we wanted to serve than could make it into the incubator. And so we decided to open up a lot of the programming to the public, and at least where we could. So, and then we were still keeping the space really intimate. So in any case, what we want to do here today is really celebrate the women who are part of that incubator and are here with all of us. So normally if we were in House of Pod, we would have all of you stand up while we all like cheer furiously. So let's do that. I'm gonna
Yes.
So we're really impressed by all of you. And we want to highlight you in the community, and then also celebrate everyone else who is doing their best to start something right now and provide that resource. So that's where this comes from, and we are really excited to have all of you here. Becca, take it away.
Yeah, did it all of that. It's just really amazing to be a part of this program. For my second year, I got to be a part of our first year, and now get to help take it to the next level with folks like Montyy. And we met Montyy actually her fans came by storm when we started the very first Colorado Podcaster Awards, the Hoppies, and we were like, whoa, like our forums are blowing up, like comfortably excluded. What is that? And we've just been so happy ever since that happened, because we got to meet Montyy, who won the overall best podcast for 2019 at the awards, and is just, I mean, she got nominated in like every category. And I do want to read some formal bio pieces of hers, because everyone should know about how incredible she is and what she's doing. And really, Montyy is about helping people of color take back our narratives. And it's so exciting to have her here to kick off this event, because yes, Summer of Pod and our incubator are really focused on how we can amplify more and more voices. And Monty's show, Comfortably Excluded, is just this unfiltered, unapologetic, beautiful microphone that she grabs with such passion and intellect, and she brings other people into that space in a way that I think so many podcast hosts struggle to do. Like, it's just, I don't know how hard you work, but it feels like it's a very natural thing for you. It's such a joy to listen to, and it just feels like ultimate liberation to be a part of that community with you. So she talks about politics, current events, culture. She's always got something I haven't even heard of that happened at some place in the world that I needed to know about. And I'm always grateful that Montyy is bringing all of those things with in-depth interviews and narration and just some good shit talking. It's amazing. So I'm going to kick it off to Montyy and let her take it away on the topic of the day, which is getting us started with our shows.
Thank you so much. I usually hate any kind of intro that is with me, because I'm like, I am just a servant for humanity at best. Before we get started, I would like to open up this whole interaction with a quote, and possibly take just a moment of silence just for everything that's really definitely been happening over the last couple of weeks. The tragedies that we are facing as a nation, the torment that's happening within the Black community at the moment of this very, very painful but necessary growth. This quote is, and you will understand all too soon that you, my children of battle, are your heroes. And that is that's a quote by Nikki Giovanni from an excerpt of Poems. And I just really like that quote because I think in this time we look for a lot of different guidance or look for people to kind of lead the way. But I feel like we're all in a situation where we are our own biggest heroes right now if we can actually stand up and do what we feel is right. So we're just going to take a quick little moment of silence. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Like these lovely individuals said, we are kicking off some amazing, you guys are about to experience some great lectures, some great hands-on experience that is going to change your world that I honestly wish I would have had starting out as a podcaster. And I think that's why I really wanted to focus on this part of you all's journey. And that is kind of establishing your voice and how to really like just dive into your audience and your listeners. Like they said, I was shocked myself that my listeners came out in huge groves the way they did to nominate me for the awards that I have won in Denver, because I'm not one of the popular as far as like, oh, everyone knows that podcaster and that. I am just a regular, degular, schmegular girl out here just trying to uplift these creatives and these businessmen, these beautiful Black and brown voices who are tired of having everyone else tell their story for them. So just to kind of get started of things that I like to have focused on, if I actually did do the work before podcasting. I honestly went probably 3 episodes into my podcast before I even actually established what my podcast was about, who I was talking to, what I really wanted to do. I just knew that I had an insane amount of passion that I really wanted to convey, and I wanted a message to get across. But I also didn't want to be telling all these other people's stories. So I decided to have my platform actually be an open platform for everyone else to tell their truth. And every once in a while, you'll hear me in there. But there are 3 main questions that I had to ask myself after I stepped back after 3 episodes of podcasting, because I noticed that my focus, my passion, my drive, my energy was all over the place because I was hitting at moving targets. I'm trying to take in what all these other podcasters are saying, but not actually listening to myself. So the first question I had to write down and actually really examine for myself was, what is my message? Like, if I had to sum up what I wanted my show to be about in 7 words or less, can I do that? And will I still be able to convey the message that I want to get out? So you definitely want to just really take a look at that. And I mean, you could write multiple things, and anyone who is a little worried about not having their podcast or their plan already made, don't stress it. Like I said, a lot of times it'll just kind of develop along the way, but these are just some things to keep in mind when starting your show. So what is my message? Like I said, that is the show. That's every time they tune in, they know they're going to get XYZ. They know that they're going to get this from me. There isn't any kind of like back and forth with that. The second question that I had to write down and really like journal with myself was, who is my target audience? Like, who is my desired audience? Like, who am I actually talking to? Am I talking to married couples? Am I talking to single women? Am I talking to my friends? Am I like, who is it that I'm really trying to get that market down? And I detail that everything from age range to demographic to hell, for me, even down to like race, because I know that race is a huge topic with my show, because I am a strong queer Black woman telling these narratives by other strong Black and brown and other POCs around. So definitely looking at my market. I knew I wanted young. I wanted young and older, open-minded, who were willing to take a lot of this criticism, because a lot of the things I talk about on my show also breaks down a lot of controversy, things that happen amongst the Black community, especially growing up, and how we view children and how we view women and how we view, homosexuality, all of these things. So I definitely wanted my audience to be young, and if they were older, I definitely want them to be in a space where they can be open-minded and kind of like take back, because having conversations with my parents and grandparents and as an adult, and it's always like these funny things. I know y'all had moments where maybe they were like, oh, well, you bring something up, like, well, why didn't you say something? And it's like, honey, like, I'm from the South, and children were seen and not heard. You do not, you didn't get to voice a lot of those opinions and things. So that's a lot of things I also like to bring up on my show is things that's really happening now, so that my audience can absolutely gravitate to it. They're like, oh, I definitely know that scenario. I know that moment. I know that mama. That's my mama, so definitely think about who it is you're talking to, because when you have a clear vision of who you're talking to, you can see your audience while recording. And like Becca was saying, I don't understand like how I make it feel so natural each time. And it's because I see the people that I'm talking to. Like, I see my best friend, sitting in the corner, or I see a coworker, like kind of like, yeah, I agree. If you envision and see the audience that you want, that's who you're going to be talking to. So that's going to cut directly to them, instead of trying to just do this broad grasp. Because when you're trying to just broadly grab an audience, your message is going to be all over the place. And I definitely hear it when I listen to podcasts. I definitely can hear, I'm trying to please everyone listening, versus I'm going to just have this message for whoever it's supposed to be for. And my third, I'm talking a lot too, so like, please flag me if y'all need me to stop or shut up or kind of like break things down a little bit more. My last thing that I like, that I have written down, and I really, really, really took a lot of time with this one, was determining my short, mid, and long-term goals for my show. Everyone has goals for their show, and I'm pretty sure your goal is to have 1,000,001 downloads, a bunch of sponsors, racks on racks on racks, cutting checks so you can tell your 9-to-5 boss to kiss your ass. Like that's everybody's like law. That's the big goal. Like, I want to put out 2 episodes and be able to quit my job. Like, and it's hard to do that, because thousands of podcasts are made every day. So, like, if you think within like a year, I'm going to definitely be able to like, I'm going to be, which you can, which I'm not going to say it cannot be done. But I don't want you all to get very caught up on just that larger long-term goal. So start mapping out those smaller goals. Start mapping out the smaller goals. If your show is a show that has guests, make it a goal, make a number of guests you want for that month. Like if you do a weekly show, say, I want to at least have 3 solid guests this month. That way your goals are smaller to obtain, they're easier to chew, and all of those little goals definitely make up for the big ones. My mid goals personally, because I know this is very controversial, and I know you're going to hear throughout the rest of this experience that, I'm pretty sure I'm dead wrong on this, but I personally do not check my stats. I check my stats as a midterm goal. So I check my stats for months at a time. I let a couple months go by, because one thing I learned was that if you are constantly looking at those numbers and those downloads, you're going to start to discourage yourself, because you're going to feel like there's a race that there are marks that you should have made by now. And so just like, honestly, I suggest checking those stats like after a couple of months of really doing this, because I mean, statistically, most podcasts actually stop after the third episode, which brings me to another point of consistency. Consistency it's such a key point in all of this. And it is something that I personally have definitely struggled with in the beginning. And I think I struggled with it mostly in the beginning, because in the beginning I was checking my numbers heavy, because in the beginning I was looking at all the other podcasters around me, because I was so focused on having a perfect report card. It was showing in my show. Like, you could hear the desperation in my show of trying to kind of like people please or cut corners. I would have guests that will say things, and I would try to laugh it off, because I don't want to lose those 5 listeners, because I want those numbers to be up. And just don't really think about that too much. Just worry about being consistent with your craft. Do you continue to love doing this? Continue to put effort into the content versus the viewers or listeners or things like that. When you're consistent, you'll grow to love doing this even more. It will honestly feel natural once you keep that schedule going. Let's see, guys, just consistency. Like, I mean, hell, the word alone, please be consistent. Please, I watch so many podcasters fail because of this, and not just with your episodes. Which brings me to my next point that's really important. Interacting. You have to interact. There was a reason why House of Pod was flooded with all those nominations for my show. I spend so much time building a community around my show that it's bigger than a podcast. I half the time forget about the podcast aspect of it, because the show has propelled me to be very involved with my community. It has propelled me to grow the support and networking teams that are out of this world. When I put out the notice that, hey, Colorado is nominating podcasters for awards, I've even built this podcasting family with other podcasters. My podcasting family is on the East Coast. Like, that's my biggest following, is the New York DMV area. So New York, DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's where the biggest amount of my support comes from. So also, don't be afraid to reach out to other support systems that aren't necessarily here. When I started my podcast, I had just moved to Denver, Colorado. I didn't know a lot of people, and I also have never started a podcast before. So I didn't know how it worked reaching out and how to like really get the help. So I kind of got turned down a couple times by some podcasters, and it kind of got discouraging. But then someone brought it to my attention, and it's just that just because someone doesn't want to work with you doesn't mean that there aren't others who do. And you will find your community, because I also looked at, and I was like, a lot of the podcasters that I was trying to kind of network with, we have nothing in common as far as our shows and our work goes. Like, they would never understand my listeners, and my listeners would never understand them. So having that network would be pointless. So definitely network with like shows or shows that you think will definitely mesh well with your listeners, which you'll definitely learn that after setting up and kind of getting feedback from your social media platforms and things like that. They will let you know when they're listening, and and how to share your content and all of that. I'm going to take a quick little break and ask, does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. No.
Well, I was going to ask, can you talk a little bit more about how you built a community? Like, what kind of interactions? Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so social media is going to be your best friend, whether you like it or not. I personally hate it. I laugh and joke with friends all the time. And I tell them, the moment I get into a certain tax bracket, I am going to hire like 3, 4, 5 people to handle all of that. And I'm going to completely disappear from social media. But social media for sure helps keep everything connected. Like I say, my biggest support is not in Colorado. So I have to be very active on my social media platforms to keep connected. Everything from posting questions, going live, being very active with what's going on in my community, posting about that. And I mean, not just posting and go. I watch a lot of podcasters, they post and then they get the hell out of there. They don't, I'm watching people all under their comments talking to each other, but they're never actually interacting. Your listeners want to know that you hear them, you see them. They know that you're not going to know them each individually, but they want to at least feel like you care enough to actually interact. So social media for sure. And that is going to be the biggest part of your consistency. I recommend getting a schedule. I personally do not recommend doing things like Hopsuite and things like that, where it's like the auto generating your post. You can definitely do that. I promise you, you won't really get much of a following because it's automatic. Most podcasters I know use it. They only log on maybe once every 2 weeks. And then they're always asking me like, how is it that you're very like you get a lot of buzz on your page? And it's like, because I'm actually making my post organically. Every single post that's on Comfortably Excluded, I have handwritten, I have done what I had to do to put it out there. It's at that moment. It's never like on a time thing. And I understand that everyone is busy. So if you do use these apps, please still check in. Don't just leave it up to the apps to build your community for you, because it just posts. It doesn't talk back to them. It doesn't have these conversations. And a lot of times, please also check your post. A lot of times it's generated, I get it, but things happen in our lives. Current events, current things happen. And if your post is tone deaf as hell right now, like right now, I'm watching a lot of people, I'm like, that's their Hopsuite, got your ass. So tone deaf. It can be tone deaf right now for you to post about, we just got 10,000 downloads. Like, no one cares about your downloads right now. You know what I mean? It's saying, so things like that are definitely to keep in mind. Also, a great way to build your community is physically get out into your community. I do not spend, a lot of times I do spend a decent amount of time apologizing to my listeners when I am on some of my platforms, but I do spend a lot of time with them when I am. But I also let them know that I am a local girl. I believe in getting out into your community. A lot of people always wondering, how do you get these people to just be on your show? They're like, oh, what's your email template? Can you send me your email template? 90% of these people I've actually met face to face. If I enjoy their work, I'm going to go and support it. Because anyone can send an email and just say, oh, I love what you do. Can you do this for me? You're asking to do, I like how it's very impersonal for me. You've never met me, you've never seen me. And I just send you like, hey, I really need you I want you to be on my show, which is, it's still an honor to ask strangers to be on your show. But if you have the opportunity to meet them face to face and be local with them, I personally recommend that. I don't get a lot of people turn me down for my show. I hear a lot of people that are like, I don't get a call back. I don't hear back from them. And it's because, again, I actually support the people that are on my show. Every single guest that is on my show, I support them. I still support them. I let it be known that this Comfortably Excluded is not only my safe haven, but it's a safe space for all brown and Black and other POCs alike. So, being active, being very active, and that comes from loving what you do. I feel like if you love what you're doing and you enjoy the content that you're putting out, all of this is just, it can be a thrill ride, along from the stress of like stats and datas and all that. But yeah, I definitely recommend getting out there and getting to know your community, because your community is also going to boost your numbers. Your community is also going to tell other people about your show. Your community is going to definitely keep you in mind when things are happening. And then that way your show, your platform, your everything is something that people go to first. Like it's an honor that, that during this time, a lot of people have looked to Comfortably Excluded for updates, for information, for just this comfort of, you know, you're not alone. Like, this is some shit that we're all really dealing with, and being truthful and being honest. Always be honest, be yourself, be genuine. I can't tell you enough how, I know it's a little harder. It seems like it's easier because you're on the other side of the mic. It is a little harder when you can't see who you're talking to, but that's where imagining your audience comes into play. And just being true to yourself and your voice. If you ever have a moment where you feel that you're kind of veering off, I personally still like to look back at those 3 questions that I told you guys about. I still look back on those. Anytime I kind of want to maybe change things up a bit, or like, oh, maybe this will bring more in, I always refer back. Is this going to take away from my message? Is this going to kill my brand? Is this going to be something that actually hinders, you know, what I do? Because once you grow a trusting following, they're going to trust the things that you say. So you have to definitely use your words very carefully. And yeah, everything is definitely, you're going to find the people that gravitate to your show. And so that's why I say don't really get caught up in looking at other podcasters too much. Definitely network with them. But don't get caught up on their journey, because their journey is not yours at all.
I think we have a question coming from Instagram because we are also connected here.
Sweet.
Typing. Anyone else have anything while Robin submits a question?
Hello, Montyy.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Hi. So I just wanted to know, can you talk a little bit more about some of your short-term and midterm goals? Not necessarily the very specific, but just some of the ideas that you were considering when you were in the beginning of this process.
Absolutely. So a lot of my short-term goals were, one of my for sure short-term goal was, which was very low, which I knew, I was like, if I can at least get that much, I'll be happy. I wanted 10 downloads for the whole month. 10 downloads for the whole month. And I promise you guys, like, you're going to at least get 3 or 4 automatically. There are some podcast maniacs out there who constantly are like looking for the newest podcast that's uploaded. So when I initially started, I just wanted, if I could get 10 downloads, I was going to keep going. It was like that Facebook post, like, you know, like if I get 10 people that like this, you know, it was one of those. So I just wanted 10 downloads for that first month. I wanted to have 2 guests for that first month. At that time, I was playing around with being weekly. I'm bi-weekly now, but I wanted to at least get two really good guests that I thought people would want to actually listen to. That first guest was actually the artist who does all the art for Comfortably Excluded, Latasha Dunstan of Jitterbug Art. And I have had her back on occasionally because I'll take requests from my listeners. If they kind of want to hear people back, I'll bring them back because it's their platform. So having 2 solid guests for that first month was also a short-term goal. My midterm goal overall was to check back in 3 months. And checking back in 3 months would mean I was going to check my downloads. I was also going to, gosh, what was it? It was check my downloads. Oh my gosh. It was also to put out 6 episodes. It was to put out 6 episodes because statistically podcasts usually don't continue past 4 or 5 episodes. So I said, if I get 6, just like the 10 downloads, if I get 6, then that's another reassuring for me to keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing this. So that was a midterm goal, along with upping my guests. Even though the show comes out bi-weekly, I still record my interviews more so in bulk, just to kind of always have those ready, and then have my other like current event segments recorded later with usually a friend or something like that. So another midterm goal, other than checking the stats and downloads and getting those 6 episodes, the third one was to have 4 guests. Was to have 4 guests within a month period. So if I can record at least 4 guests, then I can see this podcast working in real time. Because at that time I was also still working full time as well. So I had to definitely bite off a lot of little bits. Long-term goal was win an award, which I did. I actually won 2 awards. One from the House of Pod and one actually from Afros and Audio, which is a podcasting networking group out in New York, which is awesome. I definitely recommend you guys getting familiar with that one. They're really good they love doing like seminars with fresh new podcasters so they can help other new podcasters really feel comfortable in their wave. Because it's hard when you try to talk to someone who's like thousands and thousands of downloads and they're like, oh, well, everything is this and that. And it's like, girl, please keep it real with me. So those were some of the goals that I had. Whatever you have, like set your goals definitely around your show. How often are you recording? If you do have guests, how often are you getting guests? How often are you posting? Also a goal, I also make social media goals as well. I make long-term, short-term, and midterm goals with my social media platform as well. Obviously, my long-term goal is usually like doubling following count, which again, a lot of the long-term goals are usually stuff that I usually can the long-term goals are more so it sounds weird, but it's more like that resting and enjoying the fruits of your labor. Like I put in all this work for these short terms and these midterms. I know this long term is going to pay out, and it usually does. So definitely base goals around your social media. Do it. Personally, I still have the same method. I try to put out, well, now it's like 4 or 5 a day because of everything that's going on. But I try to put out at least 3 posts a week. Definitely look at your stats on Instagram and Facebook. It'll tell you when the peak times to post your social media post. Again, my following is mostly on the East Coast, so a lot of my posts go out earlier than a lot of the posts here, which is also perfect because the timing is like right where they're getting up to do a lot of their morning scrolling is like around, by the time they're doing their lunch scrolling, Colorado is doing their morning scrolling. So I'm like at that perfect sweet spot to like hit that East Coast and everything that's going on right now. So I try to have at least 3 posts a week. I try to do 1 live a month. I try to do a giveaway every 3 to 4 months. And that's also how you keep your listeners engaged. And I give away stuff like from my online store, or I give away ad space, or I will broadcast at your event. I've done live podcasting events at people's, like people were like, hey, would you mind? Absolutely. I'll come, I'll set it up. We'll do a live show. I'll interview you there at your event. And a lot of times we also I do live tapings as well. So you can actually see me in the studio with my guests, which I have a little in-home setup of my studio. So it's also a very comfortable setting as well when I do have guests who are physically able to come into the show. Like they come into my home, I tell them kick off their shoes, let me pour you a little drink if you want. I got water too, because I ain't trying to get drunk acting a fool on here either. These are not the first couple of episodes of Comfortably Excluded. You will not catch that montage anymore. But yeah, just a lot of the things that you're already interested in, just try to find ways to incorporate your podcast in it. Get stickers made. Please get business cards made. You are out. A lot of times your inspiration is going to come at you at any moment. So definitely you want to have some kind of little calling cards. When I first started, I made, and I should have had one on me. I'm moving next week, so a lot of my place is packed up. But I made these little postcards that I actually mailed out to my friends with my labels on it. I've also mailed them to a couple of random addresses here in Colorado. Just to kind of hey, this is my show. This is what I'm doing. I've had stickers made. I've had flyers made. I go to events and pass out my flyers like it's nothing. Like, I sure will, especially all these black ass events happening. Girl, I am there. You will see me passing out. Like, hey, how y'all doing? Don't be afraid to let people know you have a show. For about a good month or two, I wouldn't even tell people that I was a podcaster because I felt like to be called a podcaster, you had to have, you know, the following, the numbers and all that, but that's not true. You are what you do. And the moment that you start to accept that and you present yourself as such, it becomes real. So yeah, tell your people, get your friends to help. I've done guerrilla marketing when I first started. I had 3 friends. I made t-shirts. There's 3 t-shirts. And I sent them to a friend in California. I sent it to a friend in New York, and I sent it to a friend in Virginia. And I said, if you don't mind, if you can just, you know, wear my merch when y'all at the farmer's market, you know, you out at concerts, real cute shirts, that's marketing. Like, have your friends do guerrilla marketing for you. Like, all of this stuff. Like, I am definitely an underground type of girl. So that's how my podcast was able to sneak up on so many people out of nowhere, was because, you know, while everyone is really like trying to bite at that surface, I've always been that person that was trying to, like, I don't know, give voice and give space to those who feel like they can't.
So great. Monty, we have a question. Here's the question from Robin, who's on Facebook. And she said, how long did it take for your social media posts to start getting responses and discussions? So kind of, and you can even remind us how long ago you started your show, kind of as a helpful timeline. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. So Comfortably Excluded is 2 years old now. 2 years old. I'm not gonna lie, we almost quit a whole bunch of times. So also, don't be hard on yourself if you feel like giving up sometimes. It is real. It is real. Honestly, before all of this has been really happening, I was honestly debating with the idea of maybe turning my show over to someone else or something, like, because I wanted it to continue, but I wanted to focus on something else, but I didn't. I started my social media pages the moment that I started the podcast, because I know the era that we live in and people want to be able to have resources to touch. At the beginning, it took a really long time for me to really push my social media pages, especially my Instagram. You won't really get a crazy amount of traction just posting that your new episode is up. Like, if you think you're gonna get, like, if you only use it just to say, you know, my new episode is up, like, I wasn't really getting a whole lot of traction from that. I would get likes, no one really talk much. And then I thought about marketing, because I've worked in marketing. And I'm like, okay, well, what do people, you know, what is my show about? My show is Black as hell. My show was started in January. I'm also pretty about myself. So I started the podcast on my birthday, January 17th. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Self-centered as hell. I did that. And I knew, like, within those couple of weeks, I was like, I'm getting no tractions. I'm getting nothing. I'm like, I can't keep, you know, relying on my new episode is out, especially when I'm only putting out episodes every 2 weeks. What the hell am I going to talk about? I knew February was coming up. What is February? Black History Month. So I decided, I was like, you know what? Not only is my show Black as hell, but I'm Black as hell. I'm that coworker at work that's going to remind you every single day that's Black History Month. I actually do a countdown in my office. I work for a news station right now, and they will like every single day of the month, a new Black face is going up on my wall, on my bulletin, anywhere, like, and I'm educating my coworkers. Oh, this is such and such, and who they were the first to ever, you know, like, so I was like, well, I do that at work. Why don't I translate that to, like, my social media platform? And not only that, I was like, what if I centered it around Colorado's Black history, since that's where my show is? And for the entire month of February, as I was putting out episodes, every single day I uploaded a different iconic Black history person here in from Denver or Colorado in general. And that got a lot of buzz. That got people talking, because it was a lot of either didn't know this person exists, didn't know that person was from Colorado, or wow, didn't know Black people even existed there, which was the biggest feedback I got. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. My show is definitely going to be the narrative of all these other amazing POCs, but the social media platform is going to be completely me. It's going to be all the things that I can't get out on the show, or I don't have time to, or all the things that are going on currently that is affecting our lives. I talk, like she said, I talk about everything on my social media platforms, from politics, current events, what's going on in my life. I get very candid on my social media page, because what people really want to see is you. They want to see you. They want to know as much about you without crossing lines. Let's let it be known, I'm still a very personal person. There are some things I just will not talk about, but if I know that it's going to help someone, or kind of just, like get someone to really connect to what I'm doing, then that helps a lot. So yeah, I would definitely focus your social media around how can I take my show from just being streamed to the platform. So whatever you're passionate about, talk about it. Like it doesn't have to just be, oh, this episode, which of course I still talk about my podcast in there. And it's awesome because like I'll have all these posts and it's so interactive. And then I'll post about my podcast and it's like, holy shit. Oh my God, I forgot. She does have a podcast. And then they'll share it. Like I've had so many people like cut up sound bites of this newest episode I put out. I've had so many people DM me, do you mind if I just like take this sound bite and share it? And it's like, yes. And I want you to feel comfortable to want to share my material. So definitely building more of a personal aspect to your social media page will definitely get the traction, because no one wants to feel like they're being sold on something. Everybody wants to feel an experience, not being sold on it.
Sweet, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question, Robin. But yeah, once I was able to put more of myself into my social media platform, it definitely got a lot more buzz and a lot more people talking and sharing and wanting to see what I was posting or what I was talking about.
I have a quick question, Monty.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your favorite episode to make and why?
Oh boy, I think my favorite episode to make, oh gosh, I always have a new favorite every time. It's going to be a tie. It's going to be a tie. And I'm actually very happy to say that both of these guests are actually right here in Denver, Colorado. One of my favorite episodes were with a comedian here named Miriam Ramiro. She is just the feistiest, like in your face, like, hell yeah, I'm Mexican, immigrant as fuck. And it is what it is. And I mean, like, she is all about women's rights and just, she's my little Mexican soul sister. Like every time I'm around her, it's like we feed off of each other's drive for curing injustice. And the episode is called Laughing in the Face of Injustice. And I love her so much. And I love talking to her because she gets it. Like every time we meet each other and we're like, oh, how are you? She's like, girl, exhausted. And I'm like, right? And then we always complain about like how it's not fun being a super hyper aware person. Like everyone thinks like you love raining on their parade and you really don't. Like it's stressful carrying around the weight of feeling humanity as much as you do. Like I'm a huge empath. So, and I think that's, it's obvious in my show, you can hear the passion. When I'm definitely passionate about something and I feel like it needs to be known, I will put it out there. And my second favorite episode would have to be Intersectionality, which was also a guest I have here in Denver, Colorado, who's also a podcaster. Craig Hale is a non-binary and God, the sweetest soul I could have ever met. Before I even started podcasting, this person was a big support in my life. And they also have a podcast called I Want You to Watch This, which is it's a movie review. I've been on there a couple times. I was on there for their episode. God, I can't remember. I was actually not in my right mind for the episode, but it's one of their best episodes. And I'm like, well, see, that happens when you're passionate about Black women doing shit. It comes out that way. But that episode definitely hits home for me, and it touches a special place in my heart because as a Black queer individual, it is very, very tough to maneuver because as you can see right now with what's going on outside, we're often placed in situations where we have to pick one struggle over the other. Again, being Black, being queer, it's so tough. The Black community, as far as homosexuality in the queer community, is not a forgiving one. So to have to deal with that level of stress on top of racial issues, it can be a lot. And a lot of times we're kind of sick of choosing, like, you know, what struggle am I allowed to actually take a side on? So that episode was awesome because it was a huge eye opener for a lot of people, of just that torment that we deal with. And I'm a woman, so my God, it's just, so yeah, Intersectionality and Laughing in the Face of Injustice are my two favorite episodes right now. That could possibly change if you asked me last week. I do go back and listen to these episodes because I mostly listen to the guests. So yeah, those are my favorites.
I got another one. So before, I mean, a lot of what you've been talking about today, which is so great, is like, if you could go back before you started your show, what were the questions that you wish you could have asked yourself?
I wish I would have honestly applied everything I just told you all.
Yeah, right.
And I wish if I could have gone back, I honestly would have believed in myself more to say that I don't understand this and I need help. So for sure, that's because I let a lot of little things easily discourage me from believing in my ability to execute this project, which is crazy to look back now. I laugh at myself like, you know, you had it, you just didn't believe it. So I would definitely have told myself, girl, you got this. And it is okay to not know what you're doing. And it is okay to reach out for help. And it is okay to take your time. Please be compassionate with yourselves. If you do not get an episode out the time that you feel like you should, it's okay. They can wait till tomorrow. They can wait till next week. They can wait. But feel good about what you're doing. Be very compassionate with yourself and reach out to those lifelines for help. Because yeah, that'll definitely get you. Just, yeah.
Whoa. Oh, were you going to say something, Kat?
Well, I am curious, like, what were some of those like discouraging moments, or what were some of those obstacles? I know you've mentioned kind of a few things, but a lot of what I hear from you is winning, which is great. It's like you were very smart, you know, like, what is it? Facebook always points everybody to your birthday, and you're brilliant. You launched your podcast on your birthday when everyone comes over to your thing to be like, happy birthday.
It was like perfect. It was like, what better way to grab someone's attention? I even did a photo shoot and everything for it. Like,
yeah, you were great. So, I mean, there's so many things you did that were actually just like brilliant, you know? So what were things that now you look at, and in the moment they were hurdles that you did want to ask for help on, and maybe didn't have that natural instinct, though? I can't imagine. I mean, everything I'm hearing, I'm like, oh, Monty, geez.
I think the huge hurdle in the beginning for sure was pitching and getting guests. I thought a lot of it was, I thought a lot of the interaction needed to be online, not knowing that the space that I was creating was so much more personal, intimate than that. So it took a while to get people to sign on to the show. Before I realized that my approach probably wasn't the best, because for one, I'm a transplant. And people hold a lot of things sacred to themselves, especially their home. And no one wants a transplant coming in and telling them what they need to do or what they should do. You know what I mean? So I had to definitely look at my approach and not come in so abrasive, because I was very abrasive. Like, this is me and this is what I got going on. You better get with it or get lost. But more so just like big talking myself, even though inside I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. No one was looking at my show. It's so stupid, you know? So I think pitching for sure, being able to connect with people was a huge hurdle. Not taking no and not taking no as a stop. Because I got a lot of no's or a we'll see that never turned into anything. And I let a decent amount of that build up, thinking that there was only like 10 people in the world at that time, because when you're in the moment, you make everything bigger than what it is. And so that's why I definitely tell you guys to be compassionate to, you know, with yourselves and reach out. I thought that if I reached out, then that means that I didn't know what I was doing, which I didn't know what I was doing. But I thought that if I had reached out for help, that, you know, there would just be a big pointing and laughing of, you don't know what you're doing. When the truth is, no one in podcasts know what they're doing before they get into podcasting. So don't worry about those no's. People are going to say they don't have time. People are going to tell you no. People are going to say, you know, like, I get people tell me all the time, they don't even listen to podcasts, but they will buy my merch. They will support and share my content, which I think is pretty dope, because it's like, you don't even listen. You don't even listen to podcasts, but, you know, obviously you see something in my show or in me that makes you want to support it. So yeah, definitely just being true, being compassionate to yourself, and enjoying what you're doing. Love what you're doing. There was a period of time where I hated podcasting. I hated it so much. I don't want to do this anymore. But at that point, I started getting guests reaching out to me to be on the show. And I'm like, well, I can't shut the shit down if I got like 3 people on the calendar coming up. So, and then I had to step back and I had to realize, like, okay, well, what is keeping me from enjoying this? Like, why do I hate doing this? And then that's when it just became apparent that I deviated from those 3 questions that I gave you guys. I somehow have gotten completely off my mark of what makes me happy and what I will actually want out of the show. Or I'll, you know, get drunk and look at other people's stats and be like, that should be me, you know? So just be honest with yourself, be compassionate, understand that it is absolutely a numbers game, but passion is supposed to be number 1. Your listeners can hear it. Like, they can hear if you care about what you're saying, versus I just want to not have to work my 9 to 5.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking that one of the funny things about this kind of meeting is that you don't hear just my loud laugh constantly, which is in this empty room over here. So, but I also feel like that's like an example of podcasting. Is like, you're just behind the mic doing this thing and there's no one there to be like, that was a great line, you know?
Yes. Be your biggest cheerleader, y'all. Like, please be your biggest cheerleader. Do not wait. Do not, like, of course, the outside, you know, support, it's great. People telling you you're doing a great job. You want to hear it. I love to go through and cheer on all podcasters as much as I can. Like, I will share your content. I don't care if y'all ain't got an episode yet. Follow me. I will share your shit. I will tell people to tune in. I will tell people to listen. I'm big on support and helping each other, especially as women of color. My God, we are constantly being told to be silent, and we just can't do that. It's not their time for that. So, yeah, like, just have fun with this shit. This shit is fun. This is fun. I tell a lot of people I do get trolls. People do want, I have a show that obviously talks about race and politics and pop culture. So obviously I get trolls. The only thing is I'm a troll myself. I have 4 troll Instagram accounts. So you can't out troll me, baby. We can have a good time if you really want to get down. But honestly, don't look at any of that. Not everyone is going to love your show. It is what it is. Not everybody is going to be in your corner. Not everybody is going to cheer you on. If you believe in what you're doing, and I promise you, with the billions of people in this world, you're going to find someone who agrees and who cares to hear what you have to say. So all the people who are not listening, they can kiss it, honey. They can go. That's okay. It ain't for you. And I like to tell a lot of people, and they're like, it's just a little abrasive. And I'm like, that's okay. You're not ready. When you're ready, you know where to come to get the truth. So yeah, just love what you guys are doing. Believe completely in your ability. Just always remember, for one no, you're probably going to get 2 yeses backed up. So don't stop.
So great. So will you just kind of remind us what those questions are and tell us a little bit about what your experience was specifically with journaling and writing these things down as a way of preparing yourself? Absolutely.
So for every goal, I am a huge, I know it's a whole lot of controversy going on, especially with that girl, B. Simone, with the manifestation and all that. I personally still very much enjoy manifesting and making goals. I believe 100% that when you start to write things down, they become real, because we can have a whole bunch of things going on up here, but until we actually write it down, I'm a person who writes. I got sticky notes everywhere, and I have like 4 or 5 journals. Like, write everything down. Those questions, again, those 3 questions were, what is my message? Who is my target or desired audience? What do they look like? What are their personalities? And my last was determining my short, mid, and long-term goals. These are definitely things that you will absolutely have to write down and journal about and get kind of personal with yourself. Journaling helps me a lot because it keeps me centered. It keeps me accountable. And it's also a checking in system. Like, you don't have to write like, oh, I woke up today and just wasn't feeling, great, but the birds were singing. Like, it doesn't really have to be that. It can be, like, hey, these are my goals today. This is what I want to do. This is the things I want to accomplish. However you feel to journal. I'm Latasha, who is like I said, the artist behind my podcast. She's more of a bullet journaling person. Like, I am a chaotic thoughts all over the page, where she is like definitely bullet plan thought process versus the emotional aspect of it. So whatever makes you feel comfortable. What is my message? My message is simple. I am a platform for and by the people, taking back POC narratives. That's exactly what Comfortably Excluded is. It is bigger than me. I appreciate that, I'm literally just a vessel and a host, but it is my guests that really flourish this show. I'm always taken back when people do quote things I said, and I'm like, no, and I'm like, because I'm so entranced in my guests and everything that so I don't even think about it half the time. But yeah, my message is very clear, and it is carving out that safe space for POC narratives. We are tired of everyone else telling our stories, so I wanted to make a safe space where we can just tell our own.
It's amazing. Anyone else have questions? Burning questions? We've got a little bit more time.
You can always DM me and find me. I'm always available.
I'm actually adding that right now to our chat here. So you can follow Montyy on Instagram and Facebook. Like she said, you don't have to listen to the podcast to buy the merch.
You really don't. You really don't. You ain't got to buy merch. If you want to just donate, make it happen. Like,
you should listen to the podcast. It's absolutely one of my favorites. But there's amazing merch if you just want that awesome logo on a sweatshirt or a tank top. And you can also donate to her show through PayPal and on Venmo. I think one of the most exciting things about the movement right now is that people are waking up to the fact that we got to keep paying Black women. We got to keep paying women of color.
Come on, pay these Black curators, honey. Pay them, because it is tough out here.
Yeah. Throw some love. We of course are paying Montyy, but also throw some extra love that way. She's incredible, and yeah, she like you've seen on this call, like she just wants to be a resource for all folks who are getting started, especially this community of women of color and in Denver and beyond. We're really grateful that you're a transplant here. Gosh, like, oof, I don't say that, but yeah.
It has been an amazing 2 years of being able to be active. I'm from the DMV area, you guys. I'm from Richmond, Virginia originally, grew up a lot around the DC area. So being loud and boisterous about injustice, it's in my DNA. I mean, it's where we come from. So to be able to really like bring that fire here and meet others that are just like burning with all this passion is great. I also, like I said, I'm a big supporter. So if you guys have like events and things going on, I won't be there marketing my stuff. I'm not trifling like that, y'all. I won't be passing out flyers at y'all events. I don't do that. I do it at public events, not y'all private events. But let me know. I'd love to support it. If you have flyers, I'd love to post it on my page. Like I said, I really like connecting that local aspect. I think that we get so caught up on everything on like national levels that we tend to forget our home base. So please don't be afraid to reach out. I am always running around and all over the place. And I'll be moving to Capitol Hill next week. So I'll be in the central location to, stir up some shit. Like, I'm down there anyway, all damn day. Even before all of this was going on, I am that person who is at those city council meetings, cursing them out every possible chance I can get. So you want a freedom fight? Hit me up. We can have some fun. And just thank you guys so much for coming to this. I really appreciate it. I always laugh and tell people I'm not a teacher. I like to just help with whatever resources I have. And any questions that you may not have now, but you have later, I don't want you to feel like that you can't reach out. Please do. And I love collaborations. So hit your girl up with some collaboration opportunities. I like to also keep in mind, if I hear things that I know will probably fit to your brand or your show, I usually do reach out as well. I like to pass along guests that I find. So anyway, I can just help us all just get to where we desire to go and to just feel completely full with the projects that we're doing. I'd love to definitely help any way I can with that.
So I got one more quick question, Montyy. Thank you for saying all of that. It seems like there's lots of ways for people to contribute to your work, but I wanted to just explore if there's anything else that this, group of rising podcast creators can do to support you right now, or even the people who are listening who may not be in this room, but when we're talking about amazing people out there, like what can we do?
Yes. Okay, so other than obviously donating and contributing to creators, Black creators, I definitely more than anything am working with a group to highlight the different bills and things that are being passed here in Denver. I know everyone's really excited about this defunding-esque bill that's happening, but we are actually going back and forth with city council over it because they keep taking out the most important information from it, like body cams, and things like that. Like, you can't get rid of that. Like, don't play us. Like, no, get rid of the fucking riot gear. It's insane. They're the police. Shouldn't we have riot gear? That doesn't make sense. So I definitely recommend that everyone, if you want to support me, I honestly want you to support yourself and please vote. We have our primaries are coming up at the end of the month. I will be constantly shooting out a lot of these bills in layman's terms because they put a lot of this fucking jargon in there because they don't want us to understand what they're doing. Also, City Council has a thing called a block vote. That's when once a week they get a stack full of all these bills. And if they don't read through that stack, they have to automatically say, yay. Do you want to know how many of your councilmen are actually reading any of that stuff? Possibly one at best. So we definitely need to bring a lot of awareness. I ask that you please support your local POC businesses, especially Black-owned businesses. Yeah, like I wish I could sit here and tell you all to please give me all of your money. But I'm just gonna buy shoes and possibly weed with it. So I'm probably not the person to send your money to unless you want to contribute to my shoe and weed fund. I'm always taking those donations for sure. But please, please just really get involved with your local government and your community. Obviously, you can check out Comfortably Excluded to keep up with all the updates. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Let's all unmute and just like snap and applaud for Montyy.
Thank you so much. I really hope y'all got something from this. I know I ramble a lot because it's a lot of like emotions and feelings, but yeah.
Well, it comes off genuine, and it was it's really helpful to see and listen to you and the transparency and all the tips and everything. I'm definitely thankful that we got this opportunity to hear from you.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. I wanted you all to feel comfortable, like, and a lot of people, they want to use the bigger terms and this is what you got to do, but I just want to keep it real with y'all in any way I can help and make it as approachable as possible, because podcasting was not approachable when I started. It was very harsh, and it was very either you know what you're doing or you need to not be doing it at all. So I try to be very transparent about a lot of, definitely on my social media page, I definitely let them know, like, y'all, today just ain't it. Like, this week is not happening very well for me. I mean, I have a lot of highs, but I have a lot of lows too. And I like to definitely let people know a lot of the low moments, because we get so caught up in looking at the wins. Like, the wins seems all the wins, but man, it's so many low moments that get me to those wins. And I like to really stress those the most, so that when you are in those moments where you feel like you want to give up or you can't do it, you can think of, well, hell, Montyy did it, and hell, my first episode was recorded on my phone. So, and now I got a whole studio in my apartment. So, like, trust me, like, you can do it. If you have a voice, you got a passion, you got a drive, you must use it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna log off. Like Montyy said, you can DM her. You know where to find her. And I'll be posting this recording. Apologies for everyone who could not get on tonight because of my link mistake. Well,
and I'm single as hell, so hit me up all the time. I ain't doing shit.
Whatever. All right. Love to you all. Be well. Thank you, Montyy.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. I can't wait to really get to know you all and to hear these podcasts. Please send me them episodes, because I do listen to podcasts. I'm a podcast fanatic. I will listen to your shit. So send it my way.
There you go. One listener. Guaranteed download. Thank you so much, Montyy. You're amazing.
Thank you all so much. Y'all have a good night.
Bye, everybody.